All right, everybody, just wanted to give you a little bit of a visual so you could see kind of what I'm talking about on the map. Right now I'm standing on what would be the access road for the musicians. You can see over here that they did do a curb cutout so that the musicians can just come right on up and be able to unload safely and quickly and have everything ready to go on the music stage. This section over here is what I have labeled as kind of like overflow. People could gather over here. If we had other activities going on that we needed more space, we could have those over here as well. You can see there are quite a few trees in here, so over time that's going to be grown up a little bit and kind of take away some of the space, but not too much. It should be just fine for what we would need it to be for. So coming up this way a little bit, you can, so this sidewalk here would not be utilized for anything other than access to the stage. That way musicians would be able to kind of come and go as they needed to. If a rainstorm picked up or something and they wanted to leave, they would be able to access their area rather quickly, unlike how we have it right now. Out here is the center area that would allow for the gathering spaces, the picnic tables, kids activities, other things that we would have going on throughout the market time. There's a big open space. It does have a little bit of a slope to it, which does allow for good drainage, so hopefully the standing water wouldn't be an issue if we had any rainstorms going on. Then when we come over this way, we have a little bit more green space behind where some of the vendors would be. That is the corner of Washington and Presbyterian over there. And right here starts where the vendors would be. You can see going down this sidewalk here, you can see how large the blocks are. So when you're looking at the diagram that I have done, each vendor would have 2 blocks, 2-block width. So they are about 16 feet wide, so they do definitely get a greater space to call home, so to say. There are some plantings on this side of the sidewalk for a little ways, so the every other side doesn't necessarily work right here, but that's okay. We can make anything work. So vendors would be along this sidewalk, so they'd kind of be bookended by the music stage on one end. People would be able to sit and enjoy and listen to the music, then walk down the sidewalk here. The vendors would be in the grass going opposite sides where we can, and that way if there's a large gathering in front of one stage, we would, or not a stage, one tent, we would be able to have people kind of walk on the grass and go behind the crowd that's on the sidewalk, and they wouldn't necessarily get bogged down on the sidewalk. So that would be one thing that we'll have to tell vendors next year, is that most of them will be on grass, which does allow for a little bit different weight options if people wanted to be able to tent or stake down their tents and things of that nature. That would be available to them. There are nice trash and recycle cans that will be permanently here on site as well. There is water fountains, and then as we keep going, there's a few little entrance sidewalks that kind of come right off the road. Not having any intention of having a vendor on that corner, using those more for pedestrian traffic. This wide sidewalk here again would just be for pedestrian sidewalks or pedestrian walkways. There are benches throughout for people to sit on. Matt also said that he would be bringing in some more picnic tables in the summer months so that people could have picnics out here, sit and listen to the music, be closer to the water feature, which we'll come to in just a little bit, and just be able to sit and enjoy their time, hopefully keep them here a little bit longer, and maybe come back out and visit the vendors a second time around. One thing we did notice when we were walking through the park is, if you can kind of see over here, that's where the popcorn guy sits. And so the road has gotten greasy and dirty from him being there, and we don't necessarily want that in the parks to kill the grass or stain our sidewalks. So that is why you'll see that in these parking areas here, which are between where that sidewalk ends, good book by Shel Silverstein, by the way, where that sidewalk ends and where that sidewalk begins, that is where the parking is, and that's where we would have parked this year. We're going to keep Washington closed so that people can kind of park on the streets. But we're going to have anybody who's a food vendor will be down in these spots here. We'll keep them on the road. They will have just front tables anyway, so you don't have to worry about a patron needing to step down into their booth. They would just be able to access them right from the sidewalk level. And that way all of the staining and all the grease and all of that stuff can just stay on the road, which would get repaved every so often anyway, and we wouldn't have to worry about that within the park. So again, when we come down this way of the trail, of the path there, then we'll continue with the every other side vendors where we can. Again, we have some trees here and there, so we'll have to be conscious of that, and there might be some parts of the sidewalk where it will be more vendor on one side and not be able to go back and forth so much. But that is all things that will be laid out accordingly as we keep going. There's soft lighting throughout that doesn't really necessarily pertain to the market necessarily, just because we're during the daytime, but it's something, you know, again, that they're doing down here. So as we keep going on this sidewalk, there is another one of those entrance sidewalks over here at the main entrance corner of Division and Washington. Again, not really intending to put any vendors on there. The side on the north side there, there's a pretty big hill, and so that doesn't really accommodate vendors over there. We could potentially have a couple on this side over here. Oh, hello. On this side, if we needed to, that would work if we needed some overflow spots. Coming up over here is the water feature that they're going to turn on eventually. There will be at-grade water fountains that come out, little water spigots and lights. Kids can play over here. If it's a super hot day, which we tend to get during the market, we can have kids playing over here in the water. There's seating benches that go all the way around the water feature, which would allow for parents or whomever is with the kids to sit, enjoy a walking taco or something from Hoonan's while their kids are playing in the water. They could still hear the music, which is just across the way there, but the fountain and the music are kind of the bookend, so to say, or the focal points on each end. Gives a couple different opportunities of things for people to do while they're here at the market, and kind of makes them walk through the whole market to be able to get to both sides. When we continue on the path, this path going to the north would be the intersection of Franklin and Division, and again, not too much area for booths to be over here, but they will continue down this sidewalk and go along the edge here all the way down to Franklin. So that is kind of what I have laid out. Nathan and Matt and I walked through this numerous times, had lots of different discussions, and this is the plan that made the most sense. And that's all I'll say for now. 2019 looks to be a really exciting year for the farmers market, so hopefully we can get more vendors and the layout will work beautifully for everyone and we will have a really successful year. All right, let's discuss it.